Hey guys, I know it's lunchtime, but I'm starting dinner today because chicken noodle soup is one of those things that the longer it cooks, the better it tastes. In fact, it's almost even better the next day. And so I am going to get started on this. So what I have in here is I have half a stick of butter, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken breasts in here. So this is one of those ones I don't have a recipe because each time I make it slightly different, kind of like whatever I have on hand. So I'm melting my butter in here, and then I have my boneless, skinless chicken breasts in here. This probably be, even better if you did it with the bones and then pulled all the meat off. I, however, don't like meat on the bones, so I tend to always buy a boneless, skinless chicken breast. Okay, so I'm gonna put 4 large breasts in here, and actually we'll do one more. Last time I made this, it was like so much chicken that the kids were like, Mom, there's too much chicken in this chicken noodle soup. So when I get my chicken home from the store, I always wash it, take any extra stuff off that I don't want, and then I put it in a Ziploc bag with the date on it that way. Anyway, that's just the easiest way for me to use that. So put that in there, and then I need to wash my hands since I just touched raw chicken. Okay, so now in here, we are going to just lightly salt and pepper this chicken. And I'm going to use a little bit of onion powder. Hey, Sarah. Probably, I would assume, a teaspoon of onion powder and probably a teaspoon of garlic powder too. And then we're going to use some fresh garlic too. Hey, from Rhode Island. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Darlene. And then probably would be about 3 garlic cloves, or about a tablespoon of garlic paste. Okay. So then I'm going to use 1 giant onion. Okay. This is a huge onion. Normally I always buy my onions like in a bag of onions. This one, when I make this soup, I just go ahead and buy 1 great big one. Okay, so now some people will start their broth and they'll just add it right to the liquid. I kind of like to get a little bit of roasting on my chicken. I feel like it just adds a little bit more flavor to the soup. So, all right, here's my giant onion, and we're just going to cut this onion up, and it's probably going to make me cry. And this is going to cook for a long time, so the onions are kind of going to cook down to hardly anything, but at the same time, my kids don't want to get like a big, huge onion in there. So try to make these as small as you possibly can. So kind of clumsy. I have a big old Band-Aid on my finger, and it kind of makes things slightly awkward. All right, so that's like a good cup of onions right there, and we still have half of our onions to cook. So it's about 2 cups of onions, and that was about 3 pounds of chicken. Oh, thank you, Brandy. Okay, so onion in the pot. This is making my eyes water, so I feel like I'm trying to hurry and I'm not doing as good a job. So make this a little bit better so I don't have huge chunks of onion. I know I need to get some onion goggles or soak my onions. I just never done it, and I probably never will. Okay. And there is the other half of our large onion. I'm gonna go wash my hands and wipe my eyes. Look for bulk pricing. Yeah, I do that too sometimes, Kara. In fact, I always buy like the large, buy like the large family pack. Okay, so in here we have our meat. Probably should have stirred it because now it's kind of stuck to the bottom a little bit. And we're just going to let our onions sweat for just a little bit as we get our other stuff ready. So don't follow my mistake. Move your meat just a little bit. What, sweetheart? Chicken noodle soup. Do you like chicken noodle soup? Good. You could have added, oh yeah, you could totally use olive oil too. Okay, so now I've already washed my celery. I'm gonna cut off these really wide ends because those can sometimes be pretty woody. And then each one of my celery stalks, I'm going to cut several times this way and then chop it this way. That way it makes it into smaller pieces because my kids like the taste of celery. They, however, do not like the crunch or to get big chunks of it. So that's an easy way to not have huge chunks of celery and easily cut it. You look gorgeous. Okay, so this recipe, guys, like, you basically, all the onions are already in the pot. Sorry, sweetheart. I feel like there's not, no, these are celery. I feel like there's not really a way to, like, mess up chicken noodle soup. Your measurements don't have to all be exact. You basically are just making a chicken stock with then some meat in it.
Why did you get my onion
broth. Awesome, Jenny.
Mommy, why did you get
okay, so
onion yet?
because I haven't used your onion yet. Okay, so our onions have now started to sweat, so they're kind of like translucent looking. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm going to add in my chicken broth.
I can see it from Mama.
Now, when my husband and I were super poor, I could not afford chicken broth, and so I would always use water. And water works. You have to kind of simmer it a lot longer to get the flavor, and then normally some chicken bouillon helps. But this was like $1.98, and using good chicken broth is really going to, thank you. I did a tutorial on it earlier. Using chicken broth is really going to kind of take your soup to the next level and really, really just make it taste super yummy. Like I said, I'm making a huge pot of this because on Tuesdays, as you guys know, I not only feed my family, but I feed my mom and my dad and my uncle. So we're making a really big pot of this, so you might not, you deliver. Okay, you probably don't want to make quite as much as me. So I'm gonna, once again, I already washed these, but I'm just going to cut the stalk down. And then we're gonna chop it up, and we're just working on small pieces here.
Mommy, don't even make that kind of soup.
It doesn't look like soup yet?
That's how I'm looking on your...
You're looking at it on computer?
Yeah.
My daughter says it doesn't look like soup yet. She's not impressed. Okay, so I am going to, I'll let this cook. We'll bring it to a boil, and then we're gonna turn it down to a simmer. And once it gets to a simmer, we will then let it simmer and simmer and simmer, and then I will pull the chicken out and I will shred it, and I'll add it back in. And then about an hour before I'm gonna serve it, I will add my egg noodles. You can make your own egg noodles from scratch, or you can just buy the dry ones, which is what I like to do. I'll show you the brand I like. And then it takes about an hour for those egg noodles to really get to their full potential. Okay, And then I have carrots. She explained she likes to brown the chicken. Yes. Yes, this was just Walmart brand stock. I've actually found I like it, and it's like half the price. Well, it's like a fourth of the price of the normal stuff, or I mean, it's a lot cheaper, and I really, really like it. And they also have a low sodium one. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I know some of you guys are like, that's blasphemy! I didn't necessarily brown the chicken. I just kind of started it, and I put it in there with my onions. So as you can see, it's not browned. It's just, I just started it in there with the butter, and it gives it just a slightly different flavor. I really like it. If you don't like it, just stick it in there right with the broth right to start. Okay.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, baby, what?
You need to make chicken and rice again.
I need to make chicken and rice again?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now I'm just peeling my carrots. Hi guys, sorry, Facebook cut my first video off. So if you're just joining me in the pot, I started out with half a cube of butter, 3 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I put in there, and I just slightly sauteed those. I mean, like, just started to barely brown the chicken. I added about 2 cups of onions. It was one really, really large onion, and some garlic, some seasonings, and we waited for the onions to get translucent, and then we added our chicken broth. Hey, Brandy. And right now we are just cutting up our carrots.
Mom.
What, sweetheart?
The video, I know.
Yeah, I know. Just leave it.
Stop.
Yeah, it stopped. Facebook kicked me out. Of onions. I'm allergic to onions. I can't eat them. Yeah, Kelly, you could just cook it without onions. Onions is a really big part to the broth, but yeah, you could totally just leave them out. One thing I do that a lot of people don't do, and you'll see that's my next step, is I actually use a little bit of cabbage. Cabbage will add even more depth of flavor to your broth, and it will give it almost like a little bit of a peppery taste, but you just want to use a tiny bit. So I would probably just make sure you get some good quality stock and leave the onions out. Because you definitely, if you're allergic to onions, you don't want to, you know, make yourself sick. All right, so there we had 4 whole carrots, 5 whole carrots. Probably Jenny, huh? Okay, so there we have that, and then this is something my grandma taught me, and you'll find it's not a traditional ingredient, but cabbage, okay? And I'm just going to cut off just a tiny little bit, okay? So, and then I'm gonna like do it super, super, super thin, kind of almost like shredded coleslaw, like really, really thin, like angel hair pasta. Because we don't want you to be able to detect that this is in there. We just want the flavor of it. All right, so this is minced up really small now. And there's about half a cup. So about a half a cup of minced cabbage. And then we're gonna add some parsley. And I'm gonna add 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of parsley. And then we're gonna add some more broth to this. Awesome, Kelly. Yeah, some people freak out when they find out there's some cabbage in there. They're like, ah, cabbage is gross. But, okay, like I said, I'm making a really big pot of soup. So you could definitely, basically you just want to get the ingredients in there, and you can add as much or as little of each as you like. And these are 2 family size chicken broths. So this is 48 ounces and I used 2 of them. Okay, so now we are just gonna put the lid on this. We're gonna let it come to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, we're gonna turn it down to a simmer. And we're gonna let it simmer for about 3 hours. Now, you can make this start to finish in about an hour and 20 minutes if you're in a rush. But I really like for it to just sit on the stove and really cook kind of all day. I'll have to write the recipe. I actually don't have it written down anywhere. I just kind of make it from scratch each time. So we're just gonna let this come to a boil. We're gonna turn it down to a simmer and we're gonna let it simmer on the stove. And then about an hour before we're ready to eat it, I'm gonna take all the chicken breasts out and I'm gonna shred it and I'm gonna add it back in, okay? Oh, thank you, Tanya, you're very sweet. And then I'm going to add these Amish Kitchen Homestyle Egg Noodles, okay? They are slightly different than like just the normal macaroni you get. They're, like I said, they're more home style. I grew up making all of our own egg noodles and drying them. It's just a lot of work, and I feel like these taste pretty similar with a lot less of the effort. That's a great idea, Shannon. Yeah, especially if your kids don't like the texture of it. Okay, so then I will shred the chicken, put it back in, and then I'm gonna add these noodles. And these noodles take a good 30 minutes to an hour to really kind of reach their full potential. And at that time, we're then gonna taste it, see if it needs salt. Normally it does need some salt. And then you're gonna serve it. So there we go. Yes, Crystal, that would be delicious. Yeah, okay, we're not gonna argue about it right now. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna let you guys go. That's basically it. This is, like I said, I'm gonna wait for it to come to a boil. I'm gonna turn it down and then we're just gonna let it simmer on the stove. Definitely do not let this, you know, don't leave your house with your oven going. I mean, your stovetop going, but where I just work right across the kitchen, I'll be here and be able to keep an eye on it. Ooh, that would be good, Jenny. Where do I get these noodles? These are actually just, this is a Walmart, they carry it at my local Walmart. I don't know if it's just an area thing, but this is, yes, you could add, yeah, so like you guys can totally change it however you want. Some people add cream, some people add potatoes, some people add rice. We prefer just kind of like the standard egg noodles. EK says add rice, right? EK, look, I did buy a giant bag of rice today. Check it out. Well, it's not giant, it's just 10 pounds. But EK, I'm not gonna cook with it. You'll be so ashamed of me. I'm gonna make rice bags out of it. No, there's school today. She's just 4. She doesn't go to school yet. So, all right, guys, I'll chat with you guys later. Bye.